All right, I'm back. Are we back audio-wise? Hello? Hello? Are we back? Can we hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Good. Can you hear me now? Good. Showing my age a little bit. But only to people who got that reference. All right, we're rolling. All right, I don't know how far I got with this question, but the question I was reading was about the community development. That was close. With the code base, how like deep is the code base? Can we bring people in from the community to help us catch bugs and stuff like that? The really short, I don't know how far I got in that question, answering how much you heard, but the short answer is kind of no. Most of the bugs that are issues like that are like tricky to figure out are things that are kind of deep in the code, and opening that up is like you might as well hire someone at that point. And like the amount of time it takes to onboard someone who is volunteering, there's no I don't know a good way to do it, basically, to set up a way that we would be able to have productive information from players that we don't already get in the form of bug reports. You know, because it's rarely a like gotta dig to find where this issue is. It's usually just a matter of either like not being able to figure out what the cause is in the code that we wouldn't be able to get community's help with at all, or just finding time to get to something that hasn't been triaged, that's been triaged lower than other things we're working on. All right. Getting out of this place. Oh, it's unique. We'll do the arena. I have access to the boss that I can just do. Great. Good job, Mike. It's okay. It's good time. Good time to answer some questions, right? I just like let them go. Maybe. All right. I would with regards to this community idea of getting community help for finding bugs and stuff like that and fixing bugs. I know that there is a big desire in our community for more like direct contact with like tracking the bugs and like finding out what's wrong, what's left to be fixed, what's known, that sort of stuff. And I do think that having a system where I have no idea if this is possible to do. I have no idea if we'd even want to do it, even if we could. But I do see the value in oh, don't die, Mike. In having a like almost like a Reddit style system where there's individual bug posts that can be upvoted by other people. Just like I had this too sort of thing. I think the hard part is that there's a lot of time involved with curating that list. And maybe that's the part that you get like specific people volunteer to curate that list. But it's a whole other platform required to do that. So I don't know I don't know if that's possible even. But that could be useful. Because then you can get a better idea of like how widespread an issue is, I guess. All right, two-part question. When can we expect a new type of weapon to be added to, being added to the game? Not next season, I'll tell you that. Also, with that being said, will there be anything added that our character can wear / equip? Like adding a bracelet. Oh, like a new weapon slot. Yeah, so I doubt we'll add another weapon slot. Like there's kind of a space here for another one to make it symmetrical. I doubt we'll add another one there. Yeah, I mean, maybe. There's no plans for that at the moment. I know that. As far as adding a new base type, like crossbows, things like that, I think that will come with new classes, which are still quite a ways out. Hey Mike, any thoughts on putting a memory amber cost to change? Oh, you're into this. Oh yeah, it was a clarification. Yeah. The idea was to charge the imprint so it can activate, and then you recharge it again so it procs again, like getting a new prophecies in a way, so you aren't just feasting on red rings and whatever you want. Okay, so yeah, that's a good idea around what I was saying. I'm still not a huge, I don't know. That's probably the better way to do it. Rather than, yeah, charging to change what's in there, I don't like. Charging amber to have to like recharge it could be interesting. You'd almost want to scale the cost based on what's in there, and I think that gets really messy. Yeah. Don't think we actually want extra gaze here because we're barely surviving at 300, so we're not going to crank it up anyway, so I'm not going to use a needle. Is it going? Nope. That's right, run away in fear. Yeah, here it's afraid of me. Okay, when can we expect a 4th season? I have no timeline on it right now. We are. I mean, we're definitely still a ways out because we're still in the middle of season 3 stuff. But we're working on it. It's progressing. This guy's scary in here. Just because of that area denial. Alright. What do we got? Endurance threshold. So a bunch more endurance threshold. That's great. Worst case scenario. Yeah. Just get a bunch more endurance threshold. Hi Mike, regarding legendary items, what are your thoughts on leveling them as an option to be able to choose your 2nd or 3rd affix? What are your thoughts on leveling them as an option to be able to choose your 2nd or 3rd affix? I think it's too much complexity for the system. I think you're also in a situation then when you're using an item that's not as good as the one, like, okay, so say I've got this 2 LP, 2 legendary affix chest that I'm using and I'm wearing right now. Let's say that the things that are on there are pretty good. They're not, but let's assume for a second they're pretty good. And I've got this 2 LP Aaron's Will here, and I want to I have to level this one up in order to be able to choose the 2nd legendary affix that's on it. I think it gets awkward when you are when you like equip this knowing that it's worse now, so you'll be better later. That's something that we've gotten a lot of feedback that people don't generally like, and we do that already, but we try and avoid it now. right. Hey, Mike. Storm is a joke. There's something in Magic called the Storm Scale, and it's how broken is an ability is measured on how powerful it is relative to Storm. That's the joke. Probably a different joke that's the reference here. Doesn't matter. Anyways, back to the game. Hey, Mike. Any plans to expand the character slot limit, either for free or by buying slots like PoE does it? We'd be for free. We talked about it. I don't know why we didn't do it. I assume we didn't do it recently, if that's questions showing up. There should be more available soon. I know we were changing the way we were storing character files to make it so we could add more recently. I don't know if that ever went through. But that should be possible. Quick one, what skill you have seen implemented in an ARPG you would like to put in the game? Oh, from somewhere else that I want to put in last Epoch. So most of the things that I'm like, this is what I played. I'm like, I was just going through all the abilities that I like made builds around frequently in Diablo 2, for example. And I'm like, we already have an equivalent. 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 Nothing's coming to mind. I don't have a good answer to this. I'm sorry. Semi-recently, one of the ones I would have answered this is Thunder Fury from... oh, that might not be what it's actually called in Diablo 2. You throw a javelin and it splits and hits a bunch of things. I love that ability. And we added that, I guess it was 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago now even, but it's the most recent one we added that had a direct analogy, I think. Now that Season 3 is mostly in place, what are some of the key takeaways that the team has learned? Maybe production schedule, endgame balance takeaways? Yeah, I think there's... I don't want to really say too much as like the team as a whole, because there's a lot of like lessons learned from Season 3 that have nothing to do with me, so I don't really pay super close attention to them that much. But yeah, I think the big takeaway that I saw that I think was missing from like more of a enfranchised player perspective is a lack of new direct challenges. I think there was no new rung on the ladder to climb. I think that was an issue. There was no new thing to achieve. There was no new, like... Yeah. I think that would be the biggest takeaway I'd have. I think that there's the difference between corruption being so granular and being linearly increasing is showing its age as well. All right, we can enable health/ward bars above our characters. Would it be hard to implement a mana in the same way? For someone who has damage taken from mana, it would be great to see all three above me. It is a little tricky, actually. It's weirdly tricky to do, but it's not impossible, and I think it's on the list, but I'm not 100% sure if it's going to make it or not. I'd hope so. This is something that I was I put in a request for this myself before last season, actually. It gets me every time. We're fixing that, don't worry. I have a question about COF prophecies, specifically the 1 LP guarantee. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna take a little break from playing for a second here. Not from the whole thing. I'm just gonna slap up another one of these. It's another piece. And I'm going to answer a couple questions quickly here. I have a question about COF prophecies, specifically the 1 LP guaranteed high cost ones. Are you able to see or tell us how much people pick them? No. Generally, from my experience, the conversations with other people, prophecies are found not worth the cost. The issue usually being the higher cost just for a guaranteed the unique. For a guaranteed the unique will have at least one prophecy, 1 LP combined with a low drop amount of 1 to 2 items. Yes. I think that there's different prophecies that are good at different stages, and certain things that you're like, 1 is amazing for it. It's still quite useful. But yeah, I hear you that it's not as efficient in certain situations. I think it's good that there's some that are more efficient than others as well. Like that means that you can make decisions that are improving your efficiency, and being able to make decisions that are improving your efficiency is a good thing. That difference might be too big. That's possible. Yeah. Any plans to time the launch of next season better to not conflict with other ARPG releases? It's always a goal. It plays second fiddle to a few other factors. But yes, I think there's a little bit more desire to do this, to get that timing right in this situation that we're in now compared to where we were when we were planning the release window timing for season 3, and when we're planning the release timing window for season 4. We're in a very different situation, and we have more flexibility now to move that and be in, and like we have more options. So I hope that we can do that better. I can't give you any details on what that's. I don't actually know when the date is right now. I know roughly when it is, but I don't know the date off the top of my head. Hey Mike, any plans on improving or reworking Werebear form? And are there any plans for Werebear MTX? Yes, there are plans for Werebear MTX, cosmetics for Werebear. Reworking and improving, I think it's pretty far down the list compared to a lot of other things. There will always be new items and balance changes that happen. But as far as like a rework, I'd be pretty surprised. I think the functionality is pretty great. It does have tie-ins to a lot of places. I think there's a lot of things that need a lot more love before that needs a rework. What does this skill sigil do? I can't answer any questions about skill sigil. Can you give us a little bit of info or idea about it? Nope, can't give you anything. I'm sorry. It is a thing in the game related to skills in some way. That's all I can say. Right. Or will be in the game eventually. Sorry, it's not in yet. What are your thoughts on doing giveaways or something similar where a person could have the chance to have an NPC or custom legendary introduced into the game? I think that'd be so badass. I would create a bunch of hype. Yeah, we've done this before actually. There's an NPC that we added to the game for the person who made this lovely sign behind me. There is a there's an item we created as a community that we did a bunch of polls for. I think we did a race that had a reward for that maybe. We used to sell the like supporter packs that included one of these as well. I think there's more opportunities to do these. We're still catching up on some of the old supporter packs to do them. If you have a supporter pack pending creating a unique still, if any one of the people here has that hasn't been made yet, please reach back out to us. We were trying to get all those sorted out. There's a few that we've like the emails are old and we're like, we can't get a hold of this person anymore sort of thing. Yeah. Or the emails were just wrong from day one or something. I don't know. Thank you, game. All right. Would it be possible to show the dot damage in enemies' floating health bars? Something like Hades 2. So the dot damage in enemies' floating health bars. I don't understand. I haven't played Hades 2 yet. On the list, on the very long list of games I want to play. Show the damage on the health bar itself. Like, The numbers? I'm looking at chat in Twitch right now. Can anyone give me a quick... How does it look in Hades? Are we checking the numbers or like... Thanks, Torbertit. I'm gonna go to the next question and come back. Hi, Mike. I wish we could have legendary potential on set items. Will that happen? No. Set items are so weak at the moment. Yeah, we're adding more sets. We're buffing some sets. Don't worry. But we're not gonna add LP to them. Sorry. A lot of the way we're incorporating sets is with the way we've put them onto exalted items. Yeah. If an enemy has 100 hit points and I apply a 20 damage dot, 20% of the bar gets colored. Showing how much damage the enemy will take if the current dots that are applying to it complete. There's a lot of situations where that would be wrong information because the amount of damage they do will change based on status effects they gain or lose, and they can be consumed, so they'll just stop. I'd be very hesitant to do that. I don't know if it's possible because you have to pre-calculate all the damage. The damage isn't pre-calculated. I don't think that's possible. I'm sorry. It might be. I don't think it's possible. All right, Eagle. Hello. Mike, you keep saying you have to pitch things and get them approved, but aren't you like a super powerful? Can't you pull rank and get stuff you want in? No, I'm not super powerful. I can't pull rank. I'm not a producer or like a department manager or anything like that. I've been around forever, but and like you see me a lot of places and that sort of stuff, but I'm not management really. So I still pitch things. Yeah, I think because I've been around for so long, my ideas probably hold a little bit more weight in pitch meetings, but like not really. And like everyone's ideas get like the same time in the sun sort of thing. Quite often we'll submit a whole bunch of ideas like in like a huge document, and you won't even look at who pitched it until you'll start evaluating huge chunks of ideas, and then if there's like clarification on the intent behind something, you'll go look who added it and ask them like, oh, like what were you planning behind this? We need more information to evaluate it, something like that. But even the people that can pull rank and like do stuff like that, it's extremely rare. Like so much of what even Judd pitches things, like there's one thing that I know for season 4 that Judd's been like, we're putting this in, but like, oh no, I died. But like it's so collaborative from everyone that's there, and like so much of it gets like debated and discussed, and so yeah, no. All right. Will there be a skill sequencer or skill macro, or what it would be called, where you could press and hold a button, where you could do something like skill 1, skill 2, skill 2, skill 3? It's not because I'm lazy, just want to play fast hitting build where it's crucial to do skill 3 times, then 1 time and repeat. But it's too hard to do without missing a lot of hits because I hit so fast. We don't have any plans for something like this at the moment. It's not impossible to do, but we don't have any plans for it. Yeah. bonus wolf node is great. You can have an extra wolf even when spec'd into a single companion node. Could you change the bonus Spriggan node on Spriggan form to work the same way? Eesh. Technically, yes, it's possible. Will we do that? I would be very surprised. Spriggan's one of those things that having more than one of them is a specialization. Like it's a thing that you're really focusing on your character for, not like I don't even know if we haven't played Spriggan in forever. But I'd say it's very unlikely. I guess it can be kind of clunky to get it with where the more the availability of more companions is located, but very unlikely. Need some water. Did not bring much to drink. It was like pop can with almost nothing in it. Dregs of a water bottle. All right. Hello, Mike. Hi. Nice Friday. Yeah, it is. Can you say if there's any new content being developed or changes coming to content outside of the monoliths? The latest editions did make it feel a lot better, but it would be good to have other places to go to in the end game. And right now we spend almost no time outside of it, especially now that you can obtain things from the other systems inside the monolith. There's nothing I can share specifics wise about this right now. So it's a big old little like no answer here basically. I think that there's I do think there's a lot of room to improve the flow and feel of the monolith in general. And like the monolith itself is kind of turning into more of a framework for content than like its own thing, if that makes any sense. I think that's a good thing. I'd like to see, I don't know how possible this is, but I personally, I think I'd like to see, I saw someone posted a suggestion for this recently, which was adding in more opportunities for, oh, nice. Adding in more opportunities for people to, for woven echoes to just spawn in the web naturally. I think that's really good. I would really like to see more dungeons. That's been a tough thing to get added. I'd really like to see that though. That's high on my personal wish list. Which I know that's not a popular thing to say, but I feel like if we made dungeons properly procedurally generated, there'd be a lot of room for a lot of fun there. Don't need to do these anymore because I found a 4LP one. Yeah. What are we gonna slap in here? Oh, I made this. It's like totally not useful, but I was quite pleased with making this ring. It's not great, but I like it. Let's do a scavenger. Why not? Thoughts on itemizing the effectiveness of the passive tree to unlock more powerful tiers of passives. Right now, the build doesn't change a lot once you have the passive tree complete. And the passive tree gives a huge amount of power. Maybe having lower values on nodes at first and then unlocking new nodes or tiers with items would add more longevity to the game. Yeah, I think I think that's a good point you bring up. I think skill trees have an extremely similar issue with them right now. And that's something that we're looking at. So yeah, I think that's a good point. I think there's nothing that I can, there's no plans in the works for something to help the passive tree grow with itemization later in the game, but I do think that is a I don't know, a good point to bring up. I agree with you. Don't know how else to say it, sorry. Are there any plans to make more builds with freeze or shock more viable for bossing? So shock There are two completely different categories, really. I think shock is fine to have more powerful shock things. That's just a great balance thing. I think freeze, any hard CC situation on bosses is very difficult to make function well without some sort of like braking system, like armor break system or like stun break system, where you have like a bar that builds up, and once you get that bar to full, the bar breaks and you can apply the hard CC to the boss. I think a system like that is required to have like interesting and well itemized effects that revolve around that CC function for the boss skills. So basically you're not going to get like having stats that say the stun bar for bosses builds up faster. When you stun a boss, it lasts longer. Things like that actually will apply properly to bosses in the situation mechanically, rather than just, okay, the boss gets a 99% stun duration reduction or whatever, and it's fine. Because stun locking a boss is kind of something we don't want to be a primary strategy. It leaves itself open to like 0 DPS builds being really good for extremely late game pushing, where you say, okay, I'm gonna build my freeze up to a point where I can freeze lock this boss. I'm gonna do 1 damage every second, and it has millions and millions of hit points, and I'll be millions and millions of seconds before I kill this boss, but guaranteed eventually I'll do it. And that situation sucks. So getting the theming of like freezing a boss and itemizing to be able to freeze that boss better is great, and we'd love to have that, but there needs to be a system to support that properly, and right now we don't have that. I don't think there's any plans to add that system right now, but I think that would be the first step required before we could effectively add it. Like, or not really add it, but like support it more heavily. All right. What do we want? We want bones. We just need so many bones to be able to get this faster. Get another one? Nope. Still way off. Hello there. Hi. Are there any plans to rework some campaign cutscenes / cinematics? Elk vs. Crow still gives me PTSD. Yep. Good call out. That's the worst one for sure. Yep, definitely. What archetypes do you consider missing in the game or already discussed at the office without confirming anything, of course? I would love to see melee monk type fighter or an acolyte specialization that pushes into the Death Knight territory. Yeah, I think Lich touches in that Death Knight territory a fair bit, and there's kind of some touches into Warlock as well. And we actually do have Death Knights in Mage, Summon Skeletal Mage. So like there's kind of that theming is sort of weaving into Acolyte a little bit already. But yeah, there's room for that as well. I think Barbarian and Monk are probably the two most heavily requested versions of that. I think a hunter type character, where it's like your wolf and your bow. I think that's sort of an archetype that Falconer touches on for sure. But I think people would want to see that on another mastery. What else? Voidcaster, something that gets brought up a lot. I'm just going through ideas that I see posted frequently on like Reddit and Discord. And oh, is that what I think it is? Oh no, it was not what I thought it was. Dang it. We're looking for a T7 affix to slap on another Jewel's Obsession there. Oh, we already done this one. Get out of here. Do you have an estimate for how long it's going to take to remove snapshotting as a mechanic? Well, there's certain situations where snapshotting is good to have still. Very few and far between. The vast majority of them are already gone, of the bad ones. There's we're removing more as we find them sort of at this point. The generic cases are all gone, And so the cases that remain are all specific cases for specific situations, and they all have to be done individually. And so we're going to keep removing those as they come up. I don't know how long before all of the problematic ones are dealt with still, but the vast majority of the issue is gone now, which is great. But yes, there's still edge exploit cases that are not gone, which sucks. I see someone asking about repeating questions here. I'm just getting to about 45 minutes ago. So if your question was asked in the last 45 minutes, I haven't got to it yet. I'm sorry. How long does it take from concept to in-game? Does it take for a multi-phase boss like Aberoth? 3 months. What's your timeline for the next Pinnacle boss? And can you give us any hints or leaks about it? I have no information about this that I can give you. I'm so sorry. I can tell you what bosses I've pitched and have been declined. That's about all I can do. I'm sorry. I was trying to pitch one. Here's one that I know got declined, so it's not going to happen. So I can talk about it whatever I want. Where the boss would, do you know? I can't remember the character's name. Kog'Maw in LoL. It's like a little lizard guy, and he like shoots up in the air, and then it comes down another spot a little while later. So he goes like shoots up, and then it lands on an enemy. And I wanted to have an ability like that every time it hit you with it, every time you actually got hit, the next time it would shoot 2 of them, and the next time it would shoot 3 of them. So every time you got hit, it would increase the number that were being shot at you and how powerful they were. So it would be like a soft enrage timer that was that involved the mechanic of the fight. So you would, if you wanted to like ignore them, you could DPS more, or if you were tanky enough to ignore some of them, at least initially you could, but it would like build up and then get harder to dodge. So it was like, the more mistakes you made, the harder it was to do the boss fight, and then you'd be relying on mechanics more to try and push through. That was like one of the core ones that I pitched recently, but we're not doing that. About all I can talk about things we're not doing. All right. Dev, how do you have so many minions? I'm a necromancer. Necromancers love having minions. I can tell you where they all come from. I have 2 wraiths. These are perma wraiths from this node. Where's permanent? This node? Yes, permanent makes the maximum. That's probably where the other point came from, actually. Whoops. I should fix that. There. Probably not optimal anyways. It's fine. His res would be good actually, but yeah, and then I have just enough to die quickly while looking at a question. Perfect. Love it. I think maybe it's asking how many golems I have. So I have multiple golems from this. And I get bonus plus maximum skeletons from these rings, which I only actually need to be wearing 1. It's just they both are so high LP, they have lots of good stuff on them that I'm wearing 2 of them still. I need to replace one of them. Any plans on allowing weapon swap? No. I tried for years. I gave up. I finally given up. Sorry, it's not happening. Tried for years to do that. Any plans on not despawning Abomination every time it dies? And to not lose time resummoning it? I don't understand how... I don't think that's possible to balance nicely. Sorry. Do you intentionally already know what season 4 main theme / focus will be? Yes, I do. What are your thoughts on the current Weaver tree size? It seems that most characters end up having approximately the same tree by endgame. Yeah, I think there's sort of like there ends up being an agreed upon like best option for it, and that's fine. I think a lot of people will. I think the goal is for people to use that to curate their experience at endgame. And I think for a lot of people that curation looks very similar, and that's okay. I think ideally it would be a little bit more varied, but you know, RPG players, we love to optimize things, and once an optimal option has been found, that information gets disseminated in the community very quickly, and that's not a bad thing. It's just I don't know if shrinking the tree would change that, or even increasing the tree size. Like I don't know if changing the tree's size would change that really. There's probably some like balance adjustments we could do to make that, to change that a little bit. It does naturally change season to season as we change the content that it affects, which is good. Try not to die. Alright. Is there possibility of adding more types of teleporting melee skill attacks? Yes, that's possible. Whoa, what is going on? Just a really long range boy. My defenses are not good enough. I need better defenses. I need to put a ton of health. Cold res, I can handle it. I need to replace this with just like the 2 LP one that I have is just health and health. That's what I need to put on that. Any chance for more damage conversions per item? Something like Cold Smite that triggers a small blizzard around the impact location or something like that. Yeah, that's possible. Yeah. But we'll see more conversions, more unique effects coming in. Hi Mike, what are your thoughts on having sub loops in the end game inside / under the overall loop of just one gigantic loop as corruption system gets boring / repetitive after some time? Yeah, I think the we've been looking on adding that. I think the system we added last season, or this season, season 3, for the I could say the wrong name for it. The Rift Beast. It's not the name that the code is written in. The Rift Beasts are exactly that. Nemesis is that too. These are mini loops that happen inside of the Nemesis. Like you put your Nemesis, you have a couple of powers, and you kill it, you get the item. Like this is a mini loop there. With the Rift Beast, you're like evolving it. You're going through killing it a bunch of times. You keep evolving it. There's mini loops there. Like it's, yeah, that's the sort of stuff we've been adding. Unless you mean something different, possibly. Sorry. But I think the answer is just, yeah, we've been doing that. And we're going to keep doing it. Ding, level up. Ding, level up. All right. Have you considered condensing the campaign? I always felt it dragged on, especially since I've done it 20 times already. I mean, there's like, short answer is probably not. We have considered it, but chances of it happening I think are pretty low. I think I'd like to see ways for veteran players. I think one of the issues is that you can't actually access. Oh yeah, I can feel this being bad. You can't actually access the dungeons on your first playthrough, even as an experienced player with a high power build. And we did that so that noobs wouldn't get stuck, basically. And I think we can expect more from our players, and give them the opportunity to get stuck every once in a while. I think that's okay. So I think the big change I'd like to see, if we were going to do anything there, is just allowing dungeons to be accessible on the first playthrough. of the season. I think that would be that would be the change I would push for personally if I were so inclined to be doing something, wanting something like that. Personally, I really like playing through the campaign each season. I enjoy it. But I know I'm a weirdo. I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm gonna do with that. Who knows? Hi! I was really happy to play the new Minion focus season, but will there be stat information implemented of specific minions? For example, actual crit chance of my squirrels or skeletons anytime soon. Ah, there's the tricky part, soon. Probably not soon, but we're working on it. How come there are no minion weapon prefixes to craft? Good question. How come the actually spawned beasts don't have a minimap icon? Really? That's just a bug. Similar to Harbinger / Mages, thank you. Yeah, that's just a bug. They definitely should have a minimap icon. I didn't notice that. But yeah, that definitely should have one. The stats for minions we're working on. That's part of the character. You know, usually every stream we get a question of character sheet rework reminder sort of thing. And that's part of that. So we're working on that. Cyborg. Oh yeah. Cyborg asked if it was skipped. Sorry, Cyborg. You got skipped this time. Don't worry, I worked it in for you anyways. The minion weapon prefixes. I don't remember why we don't do that. These aren't prefixes anymore, are they? I don't know why we don't do that. There's a very good reason. I don't remember what it is. Shoot. That's an old one. That's a really old one. That's one of those things that's like 6 years ago we figured that out, and I just don't remember why. Sorry. Are there any plans to implement some type of achievement in the game? Yes. A checklist to do. It would definitely make my play much more. Yeah. We're on it. Are there any plans to add an armory to allow seamless build swaps? No, we do not have plans for that. Hi Mike, I've noticed that gaining memory amber is substantially slower this season. Is that by design or a bug? It's not either really. There's maybe it's a little bit by design. We did reduce the rate that things that generate memory amber spawn at in general, just so that it was less in your face compared to last season, because last season it was the focal point of the season, and now it's just like a mechanic that's sitting there. So it was dialed back a little bit in general, but not meant to be gigantic difference. Does your co-op partner's Weaver tree set up have an impact on loot when playing with a partner? I don't remember the exact details on how this all works. Yes. Because like your own imprint stuff works, but there's certain things that don't apply from the Weaver's tree. Like for example, the things that affect how the monolith echoes spawn. So if I'm playing with you, and you're starting all the echoes, oh, that's the reward. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. That still works. So like, and my Weaver tree can't change which rewards on the Echo Web appear on your Echo Web. Like this wouldn't apply. You could still get arena key rewards to show up there if that was there, but my imprints would still drop. So there's a bit of both. All right, can you add a gun class like shooting pistols and bleep? We could. We're probably gonna fall just short technology wise of gunpowder existing in LE. I think the closest we'd get would be like something closer to like the Demon Hunter like mini crossbows in D3. That would probably be the closest we'll get to it, if we ever add something like that. But I doubt we'll hit like full on pistols. You never know, like things can change. Right now there's no plans to hit pistols. or anything gunpowder related. I think there's something that's like kind of close already in the game. Someone pointed that out a while ago, where it's like basically it's there. Have you guys ever considered removing gold from Merchant's Guild and replacing the purchase / listing cost with favor? Yes, we did consider that. I'm also curious if you consider putting a listing limit. Yes, we consider that too. This is such a huge question. I don't want to go through the whole answer of the whole thing. How do I condense this? The short answer is we're not doing that. I think that there's a possibility we could add a different resource instead of gold. Like you could split gold into Merchant's Guild gold and Circle of Fortune gold essentially, and you can call it something else. But I think that would be the only other alternative option, would be to actually like to create a new resource instead of reusing favor. I don't think reusing favor works. Before this ends, I'm gonna check if I have a T7, like a dual T7 or T6, T7 chest that has health and something else on it. I'll do it right after we kill the boss here. Maybe we can run Temporal Sanctum and buff up our defenses here. Because I need some health real bad. What are we gonna put here? Well, I'm probably dying. Let's just slap this in. Why not? This is a funny question I get every once in a while. Would you be open to the idea of making Merchant's Guild available for offline players for the sake of difference? Sure. How? Obviously, you would have no access to players, but perhaps making them extremely high value vendors with rolling chances. Yeah, I think the big problem here is that I don't think it works. I'm open to the idea if you can figure out a way to make it work. I think the big issue here is that there's no way to like generate gold on a mass scale in a situation like that. Like it's the whole thing about trade is that it's this dynamic thing that adjusts to the market, and I don't think that works in an offline environment. I'm sorry. Like I guess you could like simulate it based on like snapshots from the market that exist, but then you're not really playing offline, and I don't think there's a way that works well. I'm sorry. But if you can think of a way that it works well, and you drop it in the suggestion channel, there's always a chance. I'd be really impressed if anyone can come up with a way to make that work well. That's like that actually works in like true offline mode. So we're talking zero data from the internet. Yeah, 900 exactly. Planned it. All right, it feels like minions summoned by items such as the crab, T-Rex, and beast don't currently scale with additional minion health and damage. Is this true? No, that is definitely false. Like submit a bug report, and someone will check it out if you really think it might be the case. But like, the way that those stats apply to stuff in the game, like it's so fundamentally like intrinsic to the way that minions are summoned, that like we would have to like manually go in and force those minions specifically on an individual basis to not accept those stats. Like it's really like it's difficult to make that happen. And we wouldn't have wanted that to happen. So like someone would have had to make a huge mistake to make that happen. And someone else would have had to have approved it, and then testing would have had to have approved that as like, I mean, maybe. I don't want to shut it down completely, but I'd be really surprised. All right, what do you think about added rewards in the dungeons that are not from killing the boss, like uniques or sets that only drop from the monsters or other things like crafting mats? I feel like this would make not just skipping to the boss worth it. I agree. And we definitely considered doing that, and we kind of did a little bit with the scale charm. The big problem is that doing the dungeons, like the act of doing the dungeons themselves, that content isn't our highest quality content right now. And so telling people like, we've got activity A and activity B, and activity A is more fun than activity B. Great. If the rewards for doing A and B are exactly the same, people are going to gravitate towards A, and that's fine. So we want people to do activity B as well. So we increase the rewards for activity B until the rewards for activity B are better than the rewards for activity A. But activity A is still more fun. So now we're telling people, okay, if you want to be optimal and play the game, you got to go do a part of the game that's less fun in general. So this is kind of why we did put things in like the Weaver's Tree to make dungeons better. So if you're like, I really like the Weaver's Tree, if that is more fun for me, I can buff up the drops in there and make that more powerful and go do the dungeons more, that sort of thing. But I think that just a blanket buff to the rewards of going through the dungeon without improving the quality of the gameplay in the dungeon would be a mistake. So I think the goal would be increase the quality of the gameplay in the dungeons first. Did we go increase it? Am I that reckless? Yeah, I am. We can do this first. Oh, spicy. Yeah, that guy has no minimap icon, you're right. I don't think anyways. Hard to tell. Alright. Kind of poop items there, but that's alright. Ooh, get out of there. We just kind of hide. We let our minions handle this. Their show. Cold res, just drop cold res elsewhere. That'd be pretty sweet. Yeah, I think we're just gonna keep the endurance threshold for now. We can always switch later. Alright, hey Mike, the dominance of the Tundra helmet can be amazing for many builds. However, the mana cost of Glacier on evade kills its potential. Can we remove the mana cost? No. No. There's stuff in there that you can take things in Glacier to drop the mana cost, can't you? To like remove one of the hits to drop the mana cost, I think. No, the mana cost is a primary way of balancing the power of that. So like it would need to have like you need to spec the tree to have less mana cost, or you know, take like mana on potion use or something like that, and do I don't know, some form of getting your mana back another way. Hi Mike, is there a way for us to lock our own default town to the end of time instead of where your last location was? We don't have a way of doing that. I agree that this is a useful thing to do. I know a lot of people get the like spawn in Weaver Town, or they'll spawn in the their item faction town, and they'll be kind of like, well, how did I get here, sort of thing. I also have another one of these things, don't I? I did that one. Did I do this one? Yeah, I did this one. Make it a little bigger. Yeah, another piece of the puzzle. I do like that idea though. Drop it in the suggestions channel on our Discord. Maybe it'll get done. Sweet. Will you guys change the way the auction house currently work? Making the game SSF only is very lame. What? We gotta change the way the auction house currently works. Maybe. We add in. We just added in a bunch of new stuff for price checking. It's just okay. I see the follow up here. You're just like the auction house just isn't functional enough for you to enjoy it. Yes. Okay. So yeah, we are improving the auction house system and the way that you interact with the bazaar, that UI, that UX. We just added in all the price checking stuff, and there's more stuff that we'll be working on as we get more feedback on that as well. So yeah, keep sending us feedback on specific things you don't like and specific things you'd like to see changed and improved on it, and we'll keep making those changes. The game's definitely not SSF only. All right. Can we get a way for Weaver's items to be weighted towards a stat you want instead of fully random? There was an idea for this in the Weaver's tree at one point, whereby you could put specific items. There was an imprint slot that we considered at one point. I don't know why we never did it. I think there was a good reason where you could put specific items into into a slot in the Weaver tree, and it would prioritize similar affixes for, like, you drop it in here, and you'd put like a magic or rare item, like something like this, in that slot, and then it would prioritize affixes that came from those came from that item onto the imprints, when you were leveling up a Weaver's Will item, it would prioritize those affixes. Part of the thing about the Weaver's Will items is that they are so random, and that's part of what balances them. Like there's that post a couple days ago on Reddit of like a T27 27 Weaver's Will, 26 Weaver, I can't remember how high it was, I think it was 27. And I'm like, imagine having that, being able to say like, I want these specific 4 affixes on there, and suddenly that item is just better than any exalted you can have, basically, because it doesn't matter what else is there. You got 4 specific handpicked T7 affixes, or 3 in a T6 or whatever. I can see a way to like improve that a little bit, being fun. I don't think there's any plans for that at the moment. Oh, sorry. I have an overlay over that. That's blocking what I was trying to say. It's all on the way. We're leaving it there. You know what exalts. You know what items are. Spike, thank you for the sub. 27 months. My boss. Hey, boss. How you doing? Feeling good? Glad to have you here. Hope you're having fun. Got a few more questions. We're not gonna do any more, I don't think. Here, we're just gonna round out the episode. Round out the. Oh, do we do a shade? Let's do a quick shade, see what happens. Can we get any chance to make the loot filter able to filter on affix ranges? Maybe. I think the big issue here is the big request here is idols, because idols have 1 rank, and usually with other items you don't care about the affix range that much, because you can I guess uniques also, affix range on uniques is another big issue there too. I think it's unlikely that we'll do this anytime soon. I do understand the desire there. It was surprisingly easy. 351. Oh, we're gonna get killed. We're gonna get beat up. I don't have a. Basically all health. there's some stuff here. Oh, we're gonna figure this out later. We're not gonna possibly burn one of our good items. Loot filter searchable on affix ranges is something that gets requested fairly frequently. I hope we can do it. I don't know if it's possible at this point. Is there any plan for mana potions? No. We have added the ability to give your potions mana return on use. There's 2 ways to do that. There's an experimental affix, and there is a unique belt that both do this. I doubt if we add more effects like that, it'll be in a similar vein, like maybe a champion affix or I don't know what, but like it would be. I think it's unlikely that we would be adding those in like a direct health, a mana potion option to go with health potions. When will COF get the Rune of Redemption and Havoc in the Prophecies? I don't think we have any plans to do that. Will we ever see a Holy Priest that can support group with AoE heals or something similar? I think it's unlikely that we will ever add a pure support class to the game. This is kind of what I was talking about earlier about classes needing a way to solo as well, and having characters that like just can't do stuff on their own is generally not something that we design for. You can kind of get pretty close, but there's always options to do damage with it. I think that's going to remain. It's possible it might not. We really don't have the Holy Trinity set up for parties. There's not that healer tank DPS setup. Everyone kind of needs to be a jack of all trades to some degree. And we try and put opportunities in for people to specialize their roles and make group dynamics interesting and fun and all that sort of stuff, but classes that are fully restricted to one of those roles is not something that we're super interested in, unless that role is DPS. Will we ever... Alright, it's that. Did I get through the questions? Mike is pulling a mic? What does that mean? Oh, did I have the overlay up? Sorry. Yeah, big jump. I love how big that can jump. I tried to seal this this cleanse affix on my belt and lost it 3 times in a row and just nuked the foraging potential on this. It was quite frustrating. All right, that'll just about take us to time here. All right, let's see if we can go say hi to someone. I hope you had fun. I know I did. I'll be back same time, same place next week. If you do have any more questions that I didn't answer, I apologize. It was not intentional. I will be happy to answer them. If you go to our Discord, there's an Ask the Devs channel there. I'll be happy to answer more questions there. And yeah. Oh, I went there last week, so we're gonna go somewhere different. Bit of an old stable, old faithful. Yeah, I'll be back same time, same place next week. Any more questions? Head to the Discord. I'll do my best to answer them there. Yeah. Hopefully I'll have better teasers next week that are a little more mechanical specific. The goal. Thanks, guys. See you later. Bye.